I missed out on one of the greatest shows of all time, and that is Squid Game.
Squid Game!
Your first game
Squid Game!
will be red light,
Squid Game!
green
Squid Game! Squid Game!
I'm kidding, I already watched Squid Game, so it's not the title of this video. Obviously, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. What a great show it is of all time. You may think I'm overly exaggerating, and yes, indeed I am. But not only based on my favoritism, but also many others according to my anime list, where it was ranked number 3 popular series and ranked number 1 anime of all time, as I'm currently writing the script down. Even when you search it up on Google, top anime series, you will at least find Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. The series is really popular, but at the same time, it isn't. It sounds hella dumb, but let me explain. The people who did watch it left good ratings of the series, giving it a chance to grow more in popularity and satisfy everyone's taste. The reason I'm saying it's also not popular is that Fullmetal Alchemist isn't on the same level as the big 3, even though it low-key should be. Now, I know you're sitting there like, oh, are you stupid? Fullmetal is big 3 level. You have dog shit taste. I wish I had given you my number.
Wanna chat?
But I hate to break it to you, but it's just the truth. Hashtag my truth. Look, all I'm saying is that regardless of its popularity value, the series itself is really good as it is, and lives up to the ratings. Before I started watching Fullmetal, I knew it had good ratings, but never really heard anyone talk about the show. That's when it brought upon my curiosity of why would an unpopular show be amazing. And after finishing the show, I finally understood why. Keep in mind, there will be spoilers in this video, so if you're not interested in being spoiled, then go freaking watch this series. Like, seriously, what are you even doing here? I'm about to talk about the show, so we can't deny that there will be spoilers. Like, come on. I'm joking, but seriously though, go watch the series. Also like to mention that in my previous video I said, so I'll probably do another review video for Bleach, so make sure if you guys want to make that happen, be sure to subscribe, and if this video gets at least 10 likes, I will do more review videos like these going forward. Okay? Okay. Well, look what we have here. You actually made it over 10 likes, which I am quite surprised. I'm gonna be real with you, I'm kinda surprised that we actually made it over 10 likes. So because of that, I will continue to make more content like this and probably do more variety on the channel. So thank you for your support and let us begin. Before we talk about the real deal, let me get this straight out. I haven't seen the original Fullmetal Alchemist series. For those of you who don't know, there are 2 Fullmetal series, Fullmetal Alchemist and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Fullmetal Alchemist is the first series that adapted from the manga, but apparently the anime caught up close with the manga, so the story ending was altered, making it an anime original series, sort of. But here with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is entirely loyal to the manga. At first, you would think that Brotherhood was either a reboot or a sequel, cause trust me, I thought it was either one of those. I did some research to see which one to watch first, and honestly, it was up to preference. Both series aren't canonically connected and both are a bit different from each other, so you could watch whichever one. But obviously I went with the Brotherhood route. Now if you guys think I should watch the original series of Fullmetal Alchemist and the movie, yes they have a movie, then get this video to 10 likes and I'll go watch the original anime. Now that we got the confusion out of the way, let's talk about the story of the Fullmetal Alchemist. Brotherhood. The story of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. The first episode starts with a fellow state alchemist, who are military officer of this verse by the way, who has gone rogue and terrorized the city, you know, Gotham City type beat. And all the on-duty state alchemists are trying to stop this man from running away from the ops. But then, yes, that's right ladies and gentlemen, it is the one and only Fullmetal Alchemist.
Wow, it's an honor to finally meet the youngest state alchemist ever. You're a real legend around here. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Maes Hughes, a pleasure.
You want Edward? I'm actually his younger brother, Alphonse.
What? You're the Fullmetal Alchemist? Sorry, I had no idea you'd be so... Go on, say little.
So, it's not you?
No. I'm his younger brother, Alphonse.
But he's a runt.
Oh yeah, can a runt do this?
They are also tempted to stop and arrest the freezing alchemist and end his shenanigans, but he does have a trick up his sleeve.
An
alchemic reaction on this scale.
Impossible. Unless you don't think he's...
The Philosopher's Stone!
Ah, yes, the Philosopher's Stone. An important item that will play a major role in the story, which I will go over a lot later on, but as of right now, the Freezing Alchemist is using the Philosopher's Stone to quote-unquote save the city as he starts to spaz about how the government is truly corrupted and where their loyalty truly lies upon. But like everyone else, they think he's going insane because all he was spitting was nonsense. But moving forward, the Elric brother stops him and he is apprehended. Until he escapes, of course. As the Freezing Alchemist continue to run away, he encounters the Führer, who is basically the president of this verse, King Bradley. Knowing that he was going to be a threat to society, King Bradley had no other options but to eliminate him on sight. The Freezing Alchemist rampage case has been settled, but it leaves Elric brothers a reminder of their haunted past memories that will forever burden them. But what can make them feel such a way like that at the end? They stopped the bad guy after all and saved the city, and yet they don't seem happy or enthusiastic. So why? Well, to truly understand what's going on, we must establish the rules and morals of the Fullmetal Alchemist verse. Quite frankly, they are known for their equivalent exchange rule, which is pretty straightforward where an exchange must be equal value. It's more of a you gain and lose situation where in order to obtain something, you must lose something of equal value. That's like the main law of the FMA verse. Now that is the main do's, there are also a bunch of don'ts. The FMA verse has 3 taboos that are illegal and consequential and may ruin your life. Literally. The 3 taboos are: do not transmute gold with alchemy, don't oppose the government, and don't try to restore human life. And can you guess which taboo the Freezing Alchemist committed? Yes, that is right. It is transmuting gold. I'm kidding, I'm obviously joking. Opposing the government is a taboo, which low-key is a little skeptical, but we won't talk about it too much. So because those are the 3 taboos, the Freezing Alchemist could only relate to the Elric brothers, who have also committed a taboo. But why would he relate if they honestly have nothing to do with each other? Which they honestly don't. The answer would be the Philosopher's Stone. It's the answer to all the problems for those who have committed a taboo, a cheat code to enhance alchemy, and even overrule the rules. The Philosopher's Stone is what the Elric brothers are looking for, and is the main goal of the story. Well, one of the main goals. They need the Philosopher's Stone in order to restore their bodies back to normal. What's wrong with their bodies? Well, you see, you might think this big guy is just wearing armor and that this shorty is absolutely normal. Although he might need to drink a lot of milk. At the beginning of their childhood, it was just basically normal. Spending time with family and friends, playing outside, you know, things you do as a kid. The only downside of their life aspect is that their dad wasn't really around. They were always with their mom the majority of the time. As the mom was always around, she had to take care of her 2 sons, as a mother should. When Edward and Alphonse were learning alchemy, she was always supportive and encouraged them to become the best versions of themselves. Generally speaking, she was the ideal mother figure that played a major part in the Elric brothers' lives. She is such a good person and also very caring for her 2 sons. I mean, what can really go wrong with her after all? Yep, she is gone. I mean, personally, I wouldn't let that happen, but you know, it is what it is. Since their mom died of some sort of illness, they tried everything they can to try and resurrect their mom with the knowledge of alchemy they've learned and tried to formulate a recipe that can guarantee their mom coming back to life. And when they got everything they needed to perform the human transmutation, this is how it went.
Ned, something doesn't feel right.
Yes, this is the consequence of the taboo of trying to bring someone back to life, and it literally destroys them, ruining them. While this is all happening, Edward meets someone or something that seems to be God. but is considered as the truth. The truth is only revealed when someone tries human transmutation and gets punished for it. And as the punishment for the Elric brothers, Edward loses his leg while Alphonse, yeah, he is just gone. I mean, Edward offers one of his body parts to the truth in return for getting his brother's soul back, which is when the law of equivalent exchange plays out. As the value of the exchange is validated, Edward returns to normal, but not completely normal though.
Mom, please.
I'm sorry, but like, she ain't looking that well. As Edward feels devastated from losing his brother and seeing his mom this way, he gets desperate and tries to bring his brother back. Not by human transmutation, of course. But he uses his alchemy on an armor suit that so happens to be in the basement. And he uses his alchemy to put Alphonse's soul into the suit. A few days later, a fellow state alchemist, Roy Mustang, is in search of a talented alchemist who was rumored to be in a small town, aka Edward Elric. But Colonel Mustang and his lieutenant, Riza Hawkeye, go looking for Edward in his house, and they find the transmutation circle with blood on it. Roy eventually confronts the brothers about the tragedy and demands answer into why they committed a taboo, knowing that it was illegal and consequential. But it only took a moment of realization that they were really traumatized and depressed about the incident.
We saw the floor. What was that? What did you do?
We're sorry. We didn't mean it. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry.
They then discuss assigning Edward as a state alchemist, given that he's already a talented alchemist at a young age, and even was capable of bounding his brother's soul into a suit of armor, which no normal alchemist could easily do. With an opportunity to become a state alchemist, the brothers must serve the military whenever they are needed to, and in their favor, can get access to any research material that would benefit from getting their bodies back. The choice was up to Edward whether or not he would want to become a state alchemist or not.
Will they be coming?
They'll come.
That boy. I've never seen anyone look so defeated.
That's what you saw? No. There was fire in those eyes.
So Edward proceeds to become a state alchemist, but before becoming one, he must take an exam in order to approved as one. And let's just say it was all easy works for this short fella.
You put on quite a show, my naive young alchemist. Good luck with the rest of your exam.
Edward is now officially a state alchemist and is also given the title as
the Fullmetal Alchemist.
I like that. It's nice and intimidating.
That's right, your boy becomes a state alchemist, ladies and gentlemen. Spam W's in the chat. So now their life mission is to get their bodies back with the help of friends and other potential opportunities that they can take. The show is really expansive with the lore, but yet simple. This is the kind of anime I like because it's not overly complicated and it's also not dumbed down in any kind of way. The only dumbed down moments would be the haha moments.
Alicia wants to play with me, not you. Huh? No way.
She's quite the heartbreaker already, isn't she?
She picked me. Come on, Ling. Go away.
Listen up, boys.
Are you planning on destroying it?
I've got your soul, brother.
Have you lost your mind? Did you forget the way he tore you apart in East City?
Ooh, sounds like the Colonel's scared of Big Bad Scar. I'm not surprised considering how useless you were against him.
That wasn't my fault. It was raining that day.
Not only did the story itself make the show likable, but it is also the characters that we meet along the way and get to learn about them. The amount of characters that we have met isn't too many in my opinion, but I feel like it is just right. It brings out a connection that even when they view things differently, they all serve the same purpose. The majority of the state alchemists like Alex Armstrong, Roy Mustang, Riza Hawkeye, and even Markiplier himself don't want to keep fighting, as their ideal of having a military is to keep the peace, not to enforce wars. That's honestly my favorite type of trope, where governments and militaries are corrupted and only the good remains, trying to take down that kind of corruption. It may be a weird choice of topic to idolize, but to be honest with you, it's all because I watch a lot of Star Wars and One Piece, which do have government corruption involved. But the state alchemists aren't the only ones who have these ambitious motivations either. In this world, we get to meet people outside of the military, giving us more diverse characters that are from different regions. We get to learn about their goals and the kind of people they are. It's very interesting how we meet many characters and yet it doesn't feel overcrowded. It doesn't feel too cramped with trying to keep up with everybody else and who they are. It's well easily paced and I honestly don't mind it. We got to meet a childhood friend, Winry Rockbell, who's been with the Elric brothers throughout their childhood and almost along the storyline with them. She's just a mechanic who lost her parents during one of the important wars of the story, the Ishvalan War, and she grew up with her grandma and the Elric brothers. But even in the aftermath of the tragedy with the brothers losing their limbs, she still stuck around and I believe even provided prosthetics. She's the one who maintains his arm and leg and still sticks around for them even when times get busy for the both of them. Regardless of where they are, the chemistry doesn't change and I think that's an ideal friendship. But she's not the only friend that they've made. Yes, that's right, it's your boy, Scar. Oh god. This guy is deemed to be a terrorist murderer and he goes out killing state alchemists, and even including Edward. Well, he tries to kill him anyway, but doesn't succeed in doing so. And the only reason why Scar is out killing the state alchemists is so he can become the king.
Long live the king.
Just kidding, I lied. Hoping that made you laugh, and if it didn't, please laugh. Remember how I mentioned the Ishvalan War? Well, to summarize it real quick, the state military goes to war with another country, Ishval. And the reason for how it started was an Emestrian soldier shot an innocent Ishvalan child for no stated reason and caused a spark of the war. The war between the state military and the country of Ishval was one of the biggest wars in its history. But the crazy thing is, even though the Ishvalans had every right to be mad, the military freaking wiped them clean. Like literally the Ishvalans had no chance of winning. It was so bad at the near end of the war that they had to surrender to them. But I think Bradley, the president, remember, already decided to execute them even when they surrendered. Like, does King Bradley give you a bad feeling? Because he gives me a very bad feeling about his intentions. But generally, you could see why Scar would be upset after the war. His people took a bunch of L's and he even lost his brother who was hella smart and died on his hands. Like literally, or technically speaking. We don't know his real name, but everyone calls him Scar because of his scar. So after the traumatic war, he goes unconscious and is discovered by two doctors who rescued him and give medical support. But as soon as he wakes up from his little coma, he goes on a rampage and kills them both. That kind of thing is what PTSD does to you, man.
All of you will pay.
Wait. What did he say? Why does that sound so familiar? Oh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Her parents that she lost were murdered by the man Scar. His misjudgment and anger got the best of him and discriminated against Emestrians and the military. At some point in the story, she learns that Scar killed her parents and is in distress.
Winry, let go of the gun.
I couldn't shoot. But that man, you said he's the one who killed my mom and dad. He tried to kill you and Al too, Ed.
Remember in Rush Valley, you delivered that baby. You saved 2 lives. And you gave me an arm and a leg to replace the ones I've lost. It's your hands. They weren't meant to kill. They're meant to give life.
But later on, she decides not to kill him. She goes on to say that she won't forgive him for what he did, but killing him isn't something that her parents would have wanted for her to do. As the story moves on, Scar's character begins to feel guilt as he sees what he has become now is no different from the people back then who took everything from him. This shows how connections give characters development, and I really like how it's all set up. It's like the entirety of the characters are part of a small community, and they know each other either meeting once or closely related. It's such a small world that they live in. Unlike Scar, he isn't the only foreigner in this world, as there are also people like Ling Yao, who is essentially a prince from the country Xing. Sorry, I can't pronounce that. Ling is on a mission to find the Philosopher's Stone in order to grant his king immortality. He's not necessarily alone, as he has personal escorts / guards to join him on this quest. Oh, and he also has a sister, Chang, who is also on the same quest, but she's technically not directly related as she is part of a different family clan from Ling. She ends up hanging around with Scar for her own adventure, and as for Ling, he joins along with your boy, Edward. At some time or however, they all coincidentally meet. This part I forgot why they ended up seeing each other like this, but what I do remember is the introduction of the main antagonist of the series, Father.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
Despite seeing a variety of villains throughout the series, we meet the one and only big bad of the Fullmetalverse. Father is the man behind the slaughters who wants to create another Philosopher's Stone and become a god. But you may be wondering at this point, what do you mean he's the man behind the slaughters? Is he William Afton? Can he beat Goku though? I can only say yes to one of those questions. You see, long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the homunculus... Bro, I can't take this seriously. Father is a homunculus, basically an artificial human being, or in some kind. His intention, as said before, is to create a Philosopher's Stone, but in order to do that, there are sacrifices that must be made. You might want to sit down for this one. The price to make a Philosopher's Stone is to sacrifice human souls.
Your soul is mine. This is immortality. No, you must be wrong. I don't understand it. You said if we were in the center of the circle, we wouldn't be harmed.
That's right, the precious stone that everyone values is off from the dead. I wasn't too shocked learning about this, but for sure noted that it was important to know. In the past, before all the current characters were even born, it was Father and Edward's dad, Hohenheim. And yes, the deadbeat dad, quote unquote, sacrificed the people of their time and created a Philosopher's Stone. It wasn't really Hohenheim's fault, as he was tricked into making a human sacrifice circle thingy. He was used and became immortal, which also gave Father a chance to copy and paste Hohenheim's body. And that is why he looks like Edward's dad. This was just the beginning of Father's plans to become a god, and with the need to create a Philosopher's Stone for his plan, he would need help gathering souls. So then becomes the origin of the 7 deadly sins, Homunculus. They were created by Father not only to resemble as his kids, but also to give them a purpose to gather souls for Father. I like some of the members, as each sin they are given represents their character, but some of these characters are not who you expected. Like, does King Bradley give you a bad feeling? Because he gives me a very bad feeling about his intentions. It was quite obvious that he would be part of the homunculi, but to realize why he really killed the majority of the Ishvalans, it just all comes together. But I'm not saying he orchestrated the war alone. As a matter of fact, it was also by another member of the homunculus. At the beginning-ish of the show, we already meet envy, lust, and gluttony, but we're not going to talk about the other two since they're not key players of the sins. Well, for the sake of the video, at least they're not. We're going to be talking about the one and only envy. The unique part about envy is that despite him being envious, he can also shapeshift into anything. I mean anything. He shapeshifts into a soldier and kills a fellow soldier, Hughes, basically Roy Mustang's best friend. His shapeshifting can be very deceiving over time, so deceiving that I did not see this one coming. A few years back, Father sends Envy a task that will forever change the course of history, an event that we will be reminded of.
Right. I had always heard it was because a military officer accidentally shot an Ishvalan child.
Yep. And the one that proudly pulled the trigger was none other than yours truly.
If you still don't see the correlation, Envy disguised himself as a military soldier and killed an innocent child, triggering the Ishvalan war. Now, you see how their intention plays out in the war? Everything was already going according to their plan. Don't you see? It's all connected! The homunculi orchestrated a war that nobody really knew and blindly fought against each other, not realizing the truth. And they actually made progress. A lot of progress. Envy and Bradley are for sure goated villains, given that Envy is a complete menace and Bradley is just a cold ass dude. I don't like Envy for obvious reasons that he made a lot of people suffer, but he is a good villain. But one villain that I do like is another member of the homunculus, Greed. Okay, he's technically not a villain, but he's a bit half-half. He's kind of like an anti-hero. After the beginning-ish of the story, once again, Greed has his own gang and gets caught up with the Elric brothers. But of course, being that Greed is no main character, his gang loses and flees from the ops. However, as Greed and his goons try to escape, Bradley again pulls up and kills his goon with no mercy. Bradley also kills Greed since he left the Homunculus, which was a sign of disrespect cause, you know, they're supposed to be focusing on the mission for Father, but instead, Greed decides to be rebellious and do his own thing. Now, why would I care about someone who we just met for not too long? Well, Greed's death was only temporal as we do meet him soon. I know I am going all over the place right now, but just bear with me here. Going back to where I mentioned how these four meet each other and the main villain Father, Ling tries attacking Father, but instead of just killing Ling, he turns him into a homunculus. And can you guess which sin he became? Yep, Greed. The infamous Greed returns back, but not the same Greed we knew before. Greed's personality remains the same, but with his old memories no longer intact. Greed takes over Ling's body, making him a member of the homunculus. However, it's not permanent as Greed doesn't have complete control over his body. I guess Ling's will is strong enough to take back control over his own body. Greed eventually gets his old memories back and tolerates Ling to get some kind of control. It's like they have a split personality, technically. Greed and Ling are a duo that basically gives each other insight into their character development, which makes Greed less of a villain and more of a person. Though Greed may be greedy, his intentions are almost at the right place, and I only say that because of what he said here.
Oh man, she's a peach. Sounds like she wants everything. My kind of girl.
That kind of wanting is dangerous. It's not how reality works.
I disagree. You want to bring back someone that you've lost. You might want money. Maybe you want women, or you might want to protect the world. These are all common things people want, things that their hearts desire. Greed may not be good, but it's not so bad either. You humans think greed is just for money and power, but everyone wants something they don't have.
And he's right. We do be greedy for the sake of the things we love and care about, and there's nothing wrong with that. Anything can be defined as greediness, but it doesn't mean it's always a bad thing. And that is what summarizes Greed's character. Sometimes the things that he was striving for were not a good thing, as he wanted to be king of the world and have everything in his own possession. But the reality of Greed is that he is a caring person. His sin of greed can just be a little conflicting given whether or not he truly cares or not about his possessions. But that's been decided during the final battle when he sees Edward fighting Father, and everybody is cheering him on to defeat him. This is what Greed really wanted along, to be a hero that everybody can believe in. Wait a minute, why is everyone cheering, not helping Edward? Is he fighting Father already? And he's fighting him alone? What is even going on? So after finding out that Father is the leader of the homunculus and learning that Bradley and his followers in the military are working under the homunculus behind the scenes, the Elric brothers and other well-known characters now have a new mission to take down the homunculi and defeat Father. Well, as simple as it sounds, it wouldn't be an easy task. The military are essentially everywhere, so whatever they try to do will be compromised and would be eliminated as a sign of treason. Initially, they were just gonna go with the flow as they still had the current mission of getting their bodies back. But as time moves on after this point, pieces of information are soon to be discovered by different others and soon enough would be all connected. Eventually. I can't exactly remember how this was all laid out, but to summarize it all, they head towards to the north regions where Fort Briggs is located at. We meet new people who have some ties with familiar characters such as Olivier Armstrong, leader of Fort Briggs essentially, and also the sister of Alex Armstrong, who I am surprised did not talk a lot about until now. He's a funny guy most of the time.
No! Enough! Please! Mercy!
No take-backs, Alex!
Are you trying to kill me?
What tipped you off, moron?
Try to hang in there, Alex!
And we do meet other fellow soldiers like Captain Buccaneer and Miles. Captain Buccaneers first appeared fighting the Elric brothers, thinking that they were trespassers, and also revealed that his own prosthetic arm was much better than Edward's, as Edward's prosthetic bodies were fragile in cold conditions. However, Captain Buccaneer's prosthetic arm seems to withstand the cold, and since Fort Briggs was a snowy area, you can tell it's not a good combo for Edward. Then they also meet Miles, who is also an Ishvalan, leaving them both wondering if as an Ishvalan, he feels discriminated against after the war. Long story short, Miles doesn't care about being discriminated against, but still feels that he needs to avenge his people. Which, looking at it now, Miles is like the light path of Ishval, where Scar is on the dark path. While they're getting an upgrade, Winry pulls up. I forgot why, but she's here. Yay. She helps Edward upgrade his new arm, but while that's all happening, they get interrupted by an unexpected threat.
A homunculus! Damn it!
You're sleeping!
Yes, a fellow member of the Homunculus, Sloth. For some reason, Father sent Sloth to dig through a tunnel, but that was a while ago, so Sloth was digging around for a very long time. I forgot the reason why he needed to do that, but he digs through to Fort Briggs and everyone there is alerted by him. Olivier and her men are trying to take him down, but with Edward's past experience, he informs her that he won't be killed easily since he is a homunculus. Olivier questions how Edward knows all the exact details, but since half of the military are Bradley's followers, this leaves Edward to remain secretive about it. He was a bit skeptical of Olivier that she might have reported him to Bradley or something in that area.
Drop the act! You will answer all my questions clearly and completely. First off, how do you know about that thing? Are you a Drachman spy?
I'm not!
Is that thing a spy?
I really doubt it!
What is that thing?
I can't answer.
Who does that thing work for?
I can't answer that!
This is my last question. Are you on our side or are you in league with that thing?
I'm not with him. I don't want to see anyone here get hurt.
Buccaneer, bring me some tank fuel now!
I think this part is where she lets him off the hook, but is also suspicious of Edward's intentions. While I can't remember everything that has happened currently, everyone ends up splitting up into different groups of their own. Each of the group includes characters that we already met, and throughout their journey, they're gathering information of their own. For instance, Alphonse's group includes Winry, Chang, Scar, and a few others. They discover the nationwide transmutation circle, which is what the homunculus is aiming to perform, thanks to Scar's brother's research notes. I think they had to travel to a specific location to find the circle, but as they arrive and settle down, Alphonse meet his dad. Alphonse is not too fazed about how his father went missing the entirety of his childhood, and is just glad to see him once again. Hohenheim is relieved to know that Alphonse is a bit accepting compared to Edward, whose encounter with him didn't really go too well, but this happened before meeting Alphonse. Hohenheim explains the lore of his life and the origin of father and blah blah blah. I already told you about this part. So after hearing all that, Alphonse and Hohenheim decide to stay in the city for a while and make a plan. Now back with the main character, Edward. Before departing with his brother and his group, Edward fights off a state alchemist, Kimberly, and oh god, is he an absolute menace. I'll get to Kimberly later on, but for now, Kimberly works with Bradley and the homunculus, so he fights off against Edward. But the fight is so intense that Edward loses to him and collapses right after. However, Kimberly's Goonies rescue Edward in return for getting their butts saved by Fullmetal. He saved the Goonies from getting killed by Kimberly, and yes, they were his own men and he tried to friendly fire them. Like, bro, that isn't why I'm so pressed with Kimberly. After the fight, Goonies and Edward go into refugee mode as they are being hunted by the military, so they stay hiding throughout the entire time. But not so long until Edward bumps into Greed, who once again rebels away from the homunculus, and they make an agreement to join forces. Suddenly, among the good guys, they spread the message to each other without being too revealing and notify the good guys to prepare for the promised day, as then will they make their move. Like, the way I'm wording it probably sounds less epic, but the scene itself felt so cool. Just watching how some of them didn't know each other, but still with the same cause. They spread the word around in secret. Like, damn. That's an alliance right there, for real. But we get a quick time skip, which I didn't remember was a time skip, to be honest with you. And let's just say that they're confident enough now.
That's up to us.
A little while later, the battle between good and evil starts, and a lot has happened during this part of the story, which I'm not going to get too deep into, but let's just say that each character is fighting for their own resolve, whether it is for revenge or justice. Regardless of their ambitions, they still align with each other to defeat corruption and save everyone in the nation. Throughout the battles, the majority of the homunculus are defeated. Some characters who wanted their revenge on them are satisfied with their victory royale. However, to further Father's plan, he needed 5 human sacrifices in order to meet the truth. Yes, that's right, God. Father wants to be a god, so he uses Edward, Alphonse, Izumi, the Elric brothers' sensei, Hohenheim, and Roy Mustang. These 5 weren't just picked randomly, but had a reason to be. Remember how Edward met the truth by making the human transmutation circle at the beginning? Well, he wasn't the only one, as Alphonse also met the truth, Izumi attempted human transmutation on her lost baby, and Hohenheim when he was deceived by Father at the beginning. But with Roy Mustang, he was forced by Bradley to use human transmutation, leaving him blind. So I guess you could say that Roy was a random candidate. With all 5 candidates being sacrificed as a way to open up the gate to the truth, Father achieves his plan and now becomes God. Or at least somewhat above God. But with Hohenheim still having his Philosopher's Stone, he uses it against Father, who just went back to square one. That's right, after all that planning and build-up was to get ratioed by a stone. I know I said bear with me here, but in all honesty, I haven't watched the show in months, so everything that I'm saying right now is mostly from the top of my head and a little bit of research. Okay, I lied. I did a lot of research, but I'm doing it for you guys. I won't blame you if you guys are lost or confused with what I'm saying, but it all makes more sense in the show. Trust me. Anyways, back to the main topic. Everyone is fighting Father, and this was just like watching Infinity War, where all the heroes are trying to stop Thanos. But in this case, it's the good guys against Father. However, Father is still strong and destroys Edward's prosthetic arm, which leaves him at a disadvantage as he needs his hands to perform alchemy. But then, Alphonse sacrifices his soul in exchange for getting Edward's arm back.
What are you doing?
Brother.
Oh, no! No! You
Edward is enraged and goes killer mode on Father as he is not holding back. Literally, my intimidation for Father starts to fade away as he's getting his ass jumped by the Fullmetal Alchemist.
Isn't it?
Fuck him up!
Father gets weakened and has no energy to spare, so he gets sent back to the truth, who then gets sealed away for good. So that's how it all happened. But wait, there's more! Edward performs one last human transmutation on himself, and he meets the truth again. Edward offers an exchange to return his brother back to the world, but what could he offer to get his brother back? What could be equivalent to the value of Alphonse?
Yeah, I've got your payment right here. So go ahead and take it.
It's come to that. And you're sure about this? You do realize that you'll never be able to perform alchemy again without your portal.
I'm aware of that.
He offers his alchemy to the truth in exchange for his brother. Fortunately, it was a good value of exchange, but at the cost that Edward may never perform alchemy again. The exchange happens, and Alphonse returns back with his physical body this time. The final battle helped everybody achieve their goal, or at least progress further into it. It leaves off with a satisfying conclusion to the battle.
So, I've been thinking about something lately.
Me too. I think we should try to bring Mom back.
I'm honestly satisfied with how the show ended. The Elric brothers got their bodies back, Roy Mustang became the next Führer, aka my next president, Ling returned back to normal and gave Greed's Philosopher's Stone to his king, who then became emperor of his country, and Scar joined Miles to save their people of Ishval and the culture. I say this is an absolute win. Well, almost a win. Because Hohenheim uses all the power of his Philosopher's Stone, he starts to rapidly age and become deceased. Though he had some closure with his sons, it would have been nice to see them together a little bit more. The aftermath allowed the Elric brothers to travel around the world individually, as they continue to be invested more in the lore of alchemy and alka history. But that's not the true ending here. Here is the ending outro of the final episode, which shows what everyone's been up to the years after. It's so cool to see everyone doing what they were striving for and living their life peacefully with no more wars involved. And finally, we get to see the last picture of a family photo with the Elric brothers. That's right, the Riz alchemist himself called himself a baddie. Oh wait, it's just Winry. Wait, Winry? I'm joking, I know it's Winry. I wanted them to be together since, after all, they were hinting that they liked each other throughout the show. Also for Maes and Alphonse, I agree with these ships. They also have kids, like, whoa! They have a whole family now, something that Edward and Alphonse never really had after losing their parents, but it gives them a chance to properly experience all that with their new life that they have. It's such a wholesome ending that I even rewatched it twice because it was so good. I loved it. Now I got the majority of the plot out of the way, there are some highlights I like to mention. These highlights consist of favorable moments and traumatic events that may not be seen the same. Let's start off with the state alchemist Kimblee. I said that he was a menace and all, but that was just a cover-up of how I really feel about this man. Not only is he heartless, but low-key, he's racist. During the Ishvalan War, he fought in it and went on a killing spree on Ishval.
I couldn't dream of a more fulfilling job. Such a beautiful sound! Like a symphony! This stone is amazing!
He went ham on Ishval, bro, like, oh my god. I just thought he was a psychopath, but the more I think about it, he's more than just a psycho. He attempted to kill his old men who were chimeras, so therefore, shoot on sight!
That sense of mercy is about to get you in a lot of trouble.
Kimblee might not be a racist, but you can't tell me it's not a good look for him. Speaking about treacherous deeds, we have the infamous Shou Tucker. You may not know his name, but if I showed you the scene, I'm pretty sure you will know where I'm going with this. If somehow you haven't, which has been around the internet for a very long time by the way, then let me just explain this one real quick. So the Elric brothers meet Shou Tucker and his daughter at the beginning of the series in order to do their research. Now Shou Tucker specializes in chimeras, which is a unique type of alchemy creation. Now as they study chimeras, the Elric brothers get attached to the daughter, who seems to brighten the mood at all times. However, regardless of Tucker's intelligence of chimera, he gets desperate because if he doesn't present something new to the military, then he will lose his title as a state alchemist. Basically, if you provide no value for the military, then you're just out. I mean, it's just like any other job, to be honest. Now, Shou gets really desperate and does the unexpected, but it's okay because Shou has an idea and surprises the Elric brothers with his creation.
That person, Edward. Big Brother Ed.
Mr. Tucker, when did you first get your state certification? Let's see. It was 2 years ago. And when did your wife leave you? That was 2 years ago, too. I just have one more question for you. Nina and Alexander. Where are they? Damn brat, figuring it out so quickly.
Oh my god. arrest this man immediately. He used his own daughter and his own pet to turn them into a chimera. Like, what in the actual... Knowing the context of the scene, it makes me feel a whole lot worse because Jesus, was he down bad. Literally, he was losing his mind for a job. Let me just move on. I don't want to bring the mood down even more. You know what? To brighten up the mood, they have bloopers for the dub, and I don't think all dubbed anime usually contain bloopers, but these takes were funny in my opinion. In fact, some of these clips I used earlier are bloopers.
Isn't it?
Please don't die!
Fuck him up!
Fight on. So, I've been thinking about something lately.
Me too. I think we should try to bring Mom back.
Yeah, they weren't in the actual show, but imagine if it was.
Quite the contrary. The homunculi refer to those unfortunate enough to have unfortunately unfolded the portal of happiness, whatever the fuck.
The sexual method that's used in the Ishvalan region. They mainly double team. Nope, that's close.
How about I push you off this roof and break the arm you just got back?
Yeah.
We've been acting as Miss Winry's bodyguards.
Huh?
Hey, Ling. How you doing?
What?
You brothers are really something else.
I'm trying to save your life, asshole!
You're still determined to help another person.
Wait, what the? Does he have his arms? And his legs?
Yes, sir.
So funny, girl.
I also realized that this scene of Roy Mustang crying was a meme, and seeing it for the first time left me shocked and more of an, oh my god, I got that reference. Like, I actually did not know that until I saw it.
It's not raining.
Yes, it is.
Oh, so it is. Why don't we head back? It's getting chilly out here.
Now we lead to the real question to all this. Would I recommend this anime to anybody? Yes. Yes, I would. As a matter of fact, I would recommend this anime to anyone who has started watching anime or who has never seen anime at all because it gives them a taste of what anime is truly capable of. People who don't watch anime would view us as cringe, immature, or even weirdos. Even though the stereotypes are true, unfortunately, there are other aspects outside of all that. People only see what's on the outside without trying to know what's on the inside. That's why, in my opinion, the first impression of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood doesn't look weird, but rather interesting. The storyline, the characters, and the plot are all easily well paced, which can really get you into it for sure. With no knowledge about Fullmetal Alchemist, I can for sure tell you that I really got into the show. I mean, look how far we are into the video. Do you think I would make a video this long if I didn't like the show? There's still a lot more I could talk about in the show, but I didn't want to overwhelm anybody, so instead, I'd say go watch for it yourself and see what you think about the series. You can also leave your thoughts and input down in the comment section below, because I'm genuinely curious to see what y'all think. But since we're already so far into the video, might as well subscribe for more content like this. I plan on doing more variety on my channel, so if you want to stick around and see what is to come, then you know what to do. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm your one and only Justntime.